So basically, let me start off by saying I enjoyed the story, which a lot of people didn't. I think it went on for far too long. I saw a post that was basically saying how long it was, and it was basically only a couple of hours shorter than Endwalker. And Endwalker was basically the culmination of a 10-year story, right? Whereas this is the start of a new story, but I don't think it needed to be that long. They left. Honestly, it feels like they didn't even leave that many loose ends to deal with. Of course, there's few, which shard the living memory and Alexandria came from, how this shard portal appears, why the XIV symbol was on the key, which looked like an hourglass, but it's a key. There are still points there and still things that they can obviously do stuff with, but like, for how long it went on, it doesn't feel like there was enough. Like, you go into, when you start over around Reborn, you're constantly bombarded with questions, and yeah, by the end of it, quite a few of them are answered. But there's so many it isn't. Like, Ishgard is brought up, you don't get that until Heavensward. You get to meet Alamegan resistant members when you go to Little Alamego. That doesn't get dealt with for another 2 expansions. There's threads there, right? And obviously the overarching part of the Ashians, whereas this, it doesn't feel like they really set up properly for the next 10 years like they wanted to. And I think that's I feel like that's the problem with the story, that it goes on for too long and doesn't do enough in the time that it takes to do. Obviously there's people complaining about, Wuklamar and other characters just not being that interesting. I think my favourite character was obviously my favorite character was Kona. I think he was definitely the best, but even his writing wasn't the best. Towards the end, I wish they focused more on Erenville and Kryl instead of focusing on continuing to focus on Wuklamar and her relations to a country that would kill them all. And obviously, during the final fight, I was kind of sick of her, even though I did enjoy her at first, and she comes in and she does the whole thing, and it felt undeserving. Obviously we had it with Endwalker and the Endsinger, where the Scions sort of came in their own way, not as directly as Wuklamar did it, but that felt way more deserving because they'd been there for 10 years. But this one just felt like she was there. It kind of reminded me of Gaia in the Shiva fight in Eden, which didn't feel necessary, just felt kind of forced in a little bit too much. When I played that, I haven't done that in ages, so maybe my memory's a bit foggy on that one, but I remember not really caring for it, and it also makes it when you go back and redo a fight, you don't care about that part anymore, and it just extends the fight for no good reason. Luckily, there's no reason to farm the capstone trial, so there's no need to worry about that being an issue here, but if they do it in the extreme version, we're likely to get in 7.1, then it's obviously going to be an issue. Outside of story issues, because I've gone out about that for quite a bit, I want to keep this obviously short. Combats feel good, like the trials, the dungeons. I think they all feel really good. This is why I wanted to wait a little bit, because I wanted for the raid series. The raid series was good, the normal mode at least. The Savage isn't out yet, but the Savage is a whole different beast that I don't feel qualified to talk about anyway, because I haven't done Savage since early Stormblood, probably, so I can't really speak on that. But no, the trials feel good, they feel challenging, they feel rewarding. I haven't completed one of the streams yet, but I did do the second stream. I loved that fight, actually. Very much making you think, and as a caster, somebody who's switched from tank to caster, it definitely pushed my brain to the limit, which is good, I like to think. In terms of combat jobs, majority of them feel the same. Tanks all just kind of got the same things. For most of this is fine, but like for Dark Knight specifically, nobody really loves Dark Knight. I feel like they really need to revisit a job at some point, because it's just not what it used to be. as somebody who's mained Dark Knight over the few years, off and on, usually switching between Paladin and Dark Knight kind of peaked in Heavensward. I know it came with a lot of issues it came with, but it felt like Dark Knight, and the current Dark Knight just doesn't feel satisfying to play. I feel like you would rather play any other tank. At this point, I'd rather play Gunbreaker, and Gunbreaker's my least favourite tank to play. There's sort of similar issues with Healer. I guess they're not as obvious. Most of them just got, extensions on defensive capabilities, upgrade to their, dots or their attacks. Sage felt good having an AoE dot finally. And they've got a... Sage, obviously, to me at least, feels like the best healer because it actually feels like it has somewhat of a DPS rotation instead of just the same one button. And that's the one I've got to level 100 first out my healers. Astrologian, with its rework, I think it's a good rework. Removing the RNG and putting the cards into just 2 different splits, I think that works very well. And the fact that it preloads cards when you trial or dungeon or whatever, that's good as well. Or when you die and respawn, that works as well. I've only got mine at 70, so I haven't tried it at the even Endwalker cap. So we'll see how that feels over time. But from what I can tell, majority of Astrologians seem to enjoy it. The biggest issue is probably the fact that Astrologian keeps getting changes. I think this is probably where they're going to settle on and keep it. Which is a good thing, of course. Changes constantly to the classes is always annoying. Summoners know how to deal with that. Monk got his changes as well. No longer, having the buffs and all that stuff, and they got an extra gauge now. I haven't played a lot of Monk, apart from the issues it had at launch that they've already fixed. It seems that people seem to be enjoying it. It seems like it's pretty much just plays the same as it did before. It's just functionally the same but looks different, which is fine. I didn't play a lot of Monk. Dragoon got changes, but I'm not 100% sure what they are. I know they lost a spine shatter. I can't remember which one it is. Dive removed and replaced with the non-attacking one. Oh, that's another complaint I feel about on tanks, is the fact that Dark Knight and Gunbreaker lost their damage on their gap closers, but Paladin and Warrior didn't, which is really confusing to me. Like, either do it for all of them or none of them. I prefer to have them on there because it's sort of like a trade-off that you can have. But back to Dragoon, they lost Dragon Sight, which is a bit disappointing, obviously, but understandable, I guess. But yeah, it seems mostly the same, just kind of cleaned up and made it a little bit simpler, which I guess is fine. Reaper seems exactly the same. I think they press a button and get access to new things, which is like what Dark Knight got, where if they're doing a joint blood spiller, the actions are different. Ninja got changed quite a bit. They lost Houton finally. Effing rip in peace. But no, it seems pretty decent. I haven't had a chance to play it. I haven't leveled it in ages, but it seems fine. Samurai seems fine. Showa's now the AoE version constantly, which is nice. They did have a slight issue with GDC speeds being inconsistent or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody had to correct me on that. But it seems alright. It seems like they get more upgrades to their I'm gonna butcher this. Jitsu? I've butchered that massively, I know. So seems good. Probably doing 2,000 damage per hit of those now. It seems fun. Seems like it does a lot of damage, which it needs to do because it doesn't really come with any party buffs or anything like that. But seems fun. Definitely have to give it a try at some point. Bard seems exactly the same. They got their Bloodletter upgrade, and they got the thing that goes off barrage, so they constantly have something to do with that. And then when they use their basically 2-minute cooldown, they can do some extra damage as well. Seems cool. Machinist, I can't play Machinist because I have ping. I level it, but I don't do it fun. It seems like, from what I can tell looking at the actions, looks like they just got a few upgrades. Looks like Ricochet and Gas Round got upgraded, and then yeah, some buffs to their bot. It looks like still no AoE bot, which I've heard complaints about. But yeah, this is what I'm basically saying. Like, if I'm looking through Dancer, it looks like it's just the same, but a bit extra. Black Mage actually got quite significant changes, but most people don't like them. So this is a class I think they're going to have a look at before the expansion's done. But yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later. I like the guaranteed procs, but I mean, I obviously missed the proc system. Nobody's using Scathe still. Don't know why it's a bloody ability still. And it seems like it's okay, but not anybody's fun. Summoner is just literally gains nothing. It's just the same job as Endwalker. I know it's good in Endwalker, but it's kind of the most basic job out of all of them. I think they really need to start adding something to Summoner sooner rather than later. Red Mage got another finisher, but honestly, I've heard that Red Mage was great. And then, obviously, looking at the new jobs, Viper looks good. It looks complex on the surface, but it's literally just followed the dotted lines from what I've been told. I'm pretty sure that's something that's been said a ton. And then Pictomancer. I play Pictomancer. I love Pictomancer. I think this is the best job in the game right now. If you want something that has a skill expression and skill ceiling, it's definitely play. I feel like the difference between a good and a great Pictomancer system would be pretty high, which is it's a shame because I'm going to fall into the good category at best if I'm lucky. But no, it's a really fun job. I think there may be a slight issue with the opening with Rainbow Drip. Constantly basically requiring a 5-second pre-pull. I think it's one of the best jobs, and if you enjoy casters or even just want to try cast, I definitely recommend Pictomancer. But yeah, that's the jobs. I don't know why I've been going on for jobs for so long, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, the jobs are good, the trials are good, the combat's good, the stories are right. Honestly, I'm quite interested to see where the raid series go with the whole, overdosing drugs and people don't actually go to a nice suite, that sort of thing. But yeah, outside of that, it's fine. Like, it's more Final Fantasy in the end of the day, right? Like, if you enjoyed everything outside the story in Endwalker, you'll still enjoy it now. If you only play for the story, it might be a bit disappointed. But I feel like that might be the wrong reason to play an MMO in the end of the day. Gathering and crafting, if I need to mention it, basically the same. If you gather and craft, you're gonna keep gathering and crafting. There's no changes there. I'm excited to see where the rest of the expansion kind of goes. Obviously, looking to the new field operations because I've enjoyed Eureka, I enjoyed Bozier, and I can't remember what else they promised, but I'm pretty sure they promised a bunch of other things. There's also the space exploration. I never did the Island Sanctuary too much. I tried it, but I was like so far behind, I had no idea what was going on. I basically started doing it when everybody else already finished, and I had no idea what's going on, and it doesn't explain things well. So I hope at least the space exploration is a bit easier to understand. But yeah, I've rambled for a while here, so I'll leave it there. But yeah, that's my 2 cents into the whole thing, and I've dealt. Anything I've really said here has been too surprising, especially to those who know me.